Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Jai.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for joining. We'll start with our Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Sharakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandyam Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishwadaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadeshatarane Mukham Karuti Vachanam Pangam Langyate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Deenataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Phulaprada Rajananda Pradhananda Sevayamanyojita Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Once again, thank you so much for being here. So, Rupa Raghunath Prabhu, we'll start with our group presentations.
Yes, Prabhuji. And I think today we are starting with the Pradyumna group. So whenever that group is ready.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can I share a slide? Do I have the power to the thing to share?
Yes, Mataji. Any participant can click on the button, the arrow button on your screen down below and share the screen.
Okay, let me know if you guys are able to see our screen, the slide.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And do we have Kisori Mataji here, our group lead? No, okay, never mind, we'll go. So we are doing a skit on what does it mean to take shelter of a guru. We have four participants, Ananya, Rohan, Meera, and Kavya, as you can see on the screen, and then we'll start. I'm Ananya. So after today's class, I feel even more inspired to take shelter of a Guru Maharaj. His guidance is helping me grow spiritually, and I want to approach him sincerely.
I respect that, Ananya, but I have a question. If a guru gives blessings, why shouldn't we ask for material help too? My business is struggling. What is wrong if I approach Guru Maharaj for success?
I see your point. Well, asking for blessings is not wrong, but the purpose matters. A true guru's main role is not to increase our wealth or comfort. He guides us towards Krishna. Bhuma? Okay.
Do you want to go ahead?
We have Bhuma here or no? Bhuma, are you on mute?
I'm muted. Sorry about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me be the devil's advocate. People come to spiritual life for many reasons. Some are distressed, some want wealth, but some want peace. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says people approach Krishna with different motives, but I cannot see, that's the problem. Can someone go for me, please?
So why criticize someone who comes for material gain? Mira.
That is a fair point. I feel mixed myself. I want spiritual progress, but I also want security, comfort, and recognition. Does that mean my shelter is not sincere?
Well, mixed motives may be the beginning, but they should not be the goal. The wrong way is to treat Guru Maharaj like someone who fulfills our desires. The right way is to accept him as a guide who helps us to purify our desires.
But if material problems are real, why ignore them? Arjuna also had a practical problem. He was facing a war.
I see what you're saying. But look, how Arjuna approached Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 2.7, the verse says, Sisyaste ham sadhimam tuam prapannam. I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Arjuna did not say, Krishna, arrange everything according to my desire. He said, please instruct me.
Devil's advocate again. Complete surrender sounds ideal, but not everyone follow instructions immediately. Some people follow what they can and leave the rest. Isn't partial shelter better than no shelter?
I relate to that. Sometimes I feel I can follow some instructions, but not all requirements. I may not be ready for a complete commitment.
Well, there is a difference between self-acceptance and selective surrender. Self-acceptance means I'm struggling, but I want to improve. Selective surrender means I will follow only what is convenient and ignore what challenges my attachments.
So if I accept Guru Maharaj's blessings, but do not want to change my lifestyle, that is partial acceptance?
Yes, it is saying, it's like saying, Guru Maharaj, guide me, but only within my comfort zone. Real shelter means developing complete faith, and with his instructions, that's for our spiritual benefit, even when they are difficult.
But complete faith sounds dangerous. Shouldn't we question and understand before following?
Of course, absolutely. Blind following is not the point here. We should inquire submissively, study the scriptures, associate with devotees, and understand properly. But once we accept a bona fide guru, we should not keep a bargaining mentality.
So, real faith is not blind, you say. It is thoughtful trust, you mean.
There you go. Exactly. Faith means I may be on the path of learning, but I trust the path and I want to follow. It does not mean pretending to be perfect.
Then my approach should change. Instead of asking, please make my business successful, I should pray, please bless me to be honest, detached, and to use whatever Krishna gives in his service.
And if you fail?
Well, then you admit it honestly and keep trying. Guru shelter is not for proud people who claim perfection. It is for sincere souls who want purification.
So the wrong way to take shelter is with bargaining, selfish expectations, pride, or selective obedience.
And the right way is humility, honesty, willingness to follow, and complete faith in Guru Maharaj's guidance.
Now I get it. Example of Arjuna is powerful. He had doubts, but once he took the shelter, he became teachable. With sincere surrender to Guru, his mood became, please guide me according to Krishna's plan.
You all got it. Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I think you had a very balanced perspective between the material minded, the partially spiritual, the little bit more, and the fully convinced. And they all made the points very well. Also liked your graphic a lot. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next is Aniruddha group. And there's the topic is the relationship between the Jiva and the God. And the setup is that there is a debate between Advaita follower and an ISKCON follower. And it centers on the fundamental questions concerning the nature of the Atma and the supreme reality and the ultimate goal of the life. Bindu Hari Krishna Mataji is Advaita follower and Nikhil Prabhuji is going to be ISKCON follower. So please go ahead.
According to the Upanishads, there is only one ultimate reality. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma translates to everything is Brahman. From these statements, I understand there is only one divine consciousness.
Respect the Upanishads, but let us also consider what Lord Krishna himself say in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita 2.12, Na tav evaham jatu nasham, na tavam neme janadipah, na cheva na bhavishyamah, sarve vayam atah param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all this king, nor in the future should any of cease to be. This was explained that individuality is eternal. Krishna and Arjuna and all living beings existed in the past, exist in the present, and will continue to exist in the future. Thus, both God and Jiva maintain their individuality eternally. The idea that the individual soul completely merge and lose its identity is not supported by this verse. Further, in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. If everyone is God, then why does Krishna specifically declare that everything comes from him? There must be distinction between the source and that which comes from the source.
But if we are parts of God, doesn't that mean we are all God?
No. We are one with the God in quality, but not in the quantity. Consider the example of sun and sunshine. A ray of sunshine possesses the same quality as the sun, light and heat, but a ray can never become the entire sun. Similarly, soul is a spiritual like a Krishna, but the Krishna is a infinite, where we are infinitesimal. Further, this material world is not a false or unreal. It is temporary and is manifested through the external energy of the Lord. The living entity or jivas are the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, although everything depends upon the God, everything is not a God.
I understand your point. The Upanishads teach the spiritual nature of the soul, but the Bhagavad Gita clarifies the relationship between the soul and God. The soul is eternal and divine. Yet, Krishna remains the supreme personality of Godhead, like a spark from a fire. I share the spiritual quality of God, but I am not equal to him in greatness, power, or position.
Exactly. Also, the real aim of the human life is to understand the supreme absolute truth. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, the supreme absolute truth understood in the three stages, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. The realization of impersonal Brahman is the first stage of understanding the absolute truth. Realization of Paramatma, the supreme soul within the heart, is more advanced stage. Realization of Bhagwan, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the highest and the most complete understanding of the absolute truth.
Thank you for the explanation. I now understand the Brahman realization is a partial understanding of the absolute truth, whereas Bhagavan realization is a complete understanding of the absolute truth. Therefore, I accept the Vaishnava philosophy that we are all eternal servants and parts of Krishna, while Krishna remains the supreme personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I think this is one of the core tenets of our Vaishnava philosophy. And with the pro and con, you brought forth the arguments that support it and the possible arguments against it and how to address it. So I think it was a convincing argument because I saw that even Mayavadi was giving you a thumbs up. So you're obviously in good shape now.
Haribol, thank you.
Over to the next group.
I believe it's Narayana.
Narayana.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Let me really quick share my screen. So we have a debate to go through, and it's a hot topic the nation wants to know. So the topic of our debate is soul personal or impersonal? We are presenting today from Narayana Group. We have exalted Vaishnava devotee number 1, Shivani Mataji. We have exalted the Vaishnava devotee number 2, Amit Prabhu, and myself, the Mayavadi, Ashutosh. So with that, let's go to our first debate topic. What we want to discuss today is the soul personal or impersonal? So Mayavadi's position is, as far as I understand the absolute truth, I believe God is ultimately impersonal. The highest reality is Brahman, and all-pervading, undifferentiated spiritual energy and eternal consciousness. So remember these two words, energy and consciousness, without form or individuality. You, as an exalted Vaishnava, claim that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, possessing a personal form and qualities. On what grounds do you assert that the absolute truth has personality? And behold, Aham Brahmasmi. Go for it.
Hare Krishna. Yes, in Bhagavad Gita, verse 2.12 established the philosophical basis of Vaishnava's theology. First of all, Jiva or soul is eternal. You need to understand 4 important points. 1, soul is eternal. 2nd, soul is distinct and individual. And the individuality of the soul is carried to the past, present, and future, regardless the Jiva is conditioned or liberated. 3rd, also Krishna is an individual and is distinct eternally. Krishna is the God and he is never conditioned. He is the supreme controller. So all the jivas are dependent on Krishna as they are part and parcel of Krishna. But Krishna is independent. And the last one is God is always God in any form. It doesn't matter. He never becomes conditions. Also, it is mentioned in Katha Upanishad, Nitya Nityam Chetas Chetnam, which means he is the supreme eternal among all the eternals and is supreme conscious entities all among all conscious entities, which means Eko Bahunam, that is one entity fulfilling the desire of all entities, that is Krishna. So Jiva is eternal, so as Krishna is eternal. Jiva is conscious, so as Krishna is conscious, but Jiva is getting his desire fulfilled by Krishna.
Wow, I'm impressed with your theology, with your ideas, with the Vaishnava theology, as well as the empirical way you have put it together. I'm realizing now. But what about liberation, merging versus eternal individuality? You claim that the soul is part of God, yet remains distinct. However, I argue the soul is a fragment of Brahman. Just like a drop of water merges into the vast ocean of consciousness and energy, the same way soul goes back to the Brahman. What do you have to say on that?
Your analogy raises a critical philosophical issues. The soul is eternally atomic and described as eternal, Sanatan, and atomic. From Bhagavad Gita, Shlok 2.23 to 2.5, it is mentioned the soul is indestructible, immutable, and invisible. If individuality were temporary, this description would be meaningless. And if the soul dissolves completely, who experiences liberation and realizes I am free? This leads to contradiction. No experiencer means no liberation, no self is no realization. And you claim individuality is illusion, then we must ask who is in illusion, seeks liberation, and who practices sadhana. If the individual self is unreal, the entire process of liberation becomes meaningless. Yes, we agree oneness exists, but oneness in quality, not in identity. And related to the drop merging into ocean, Srila Prabhupada gave a beautiful analogy of a spark and a fire. The spark has the same nature as a fire, heat and light, but the spark never becomes the whole fire.
I understand my position now. What about bliss? So my position is ultimate reality, Brahman is pure bliss, existence and consciousness, which is Satchidan. And what about Ananda? So Ananda originates from the cessation of duality and individuality. There is no subject-object division that remains. No suffering exists. This undifferentiated state is the highest bliss. The personal form is lower because personality implies limitation, duality, and material conditioning. What do you have to say on that?
Well, let's examine this very carefully. Bliss or Ananda is not just the absence of suffering, it is positive experience. Ask yourself, can there be love without a lover and beloved?
Can there be joy without interaction? If Brahman is completely impersonal, there is no relationship. So, therefore, no dynamic bliss. At best, it becomes neutral bliss, not active happiness. Also mentioned, if you take the example of the Vedanta Sutras, bliss, God is by nature full of bliss. Bliss is meaningful only when there is exchange and reciprocation. This naturally implies personhood.
And also in this world, joy increases through relationship. Love, friendship, devotion bring deeper satisfaction than isolation. If the absolute truth has no personality, no relationship, then how can it be the source of all bliss we experience? Effect cannot exceed cause. If bliss exists in us as relational joy, it must exist perfectly in the absolute. Krishna personality is infinite, all attractive, full eternal knowledge, bliss and beauty. So personality does not limit God, it completes him. Impersonal Brahman gives peace, personal God gives love and the bliss. Therefore, Brahman realization is a partial realization, and the personal realization of Krishna is complete realization.
My eyes are open from the Shastra Chakshus. I pay my obeisances to all the exalted Vaishnavas in this group. And now I understand why Srila Prabhupada mentioned Sri Bhagavana Vach. He mentions it as the supreme personality of the Godhead. So he's not defining supreme, but he is emphasizing on the personality, where now I understand the soul is personal. It's not impersonal. Thank you, everyone. With that, we conclude our session.
Hare Krishna.
Over to the main studio.
Thank you. Very well done. I like the way that you broke it up into 3 debates and addressed each of the point comprehensively. Also, I like the fact that you gave references to whatever the points you were making. So one of the goals of Bhakti Shastri is this, that whenever we speak, we may not have to copiously quote the verses, but if needed, we should be able to refer back to them or Srila Prabhupada's purports. Well done. Thank you.
Vasudev Group.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So we have a debate topic. Krishna speak about the nature of the soul. Sorry, Krishna speaks once about the nature of the soul. Why? In chapter 2, Lord Krishna first addresses Arjuna's grief by teaching that the soul is not the body, but the eternal soul. And to quote that, Chapter 2, text 13, as the embodied soul continuously passes in the body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Also in text 20, for the soul there is never birth nor death, nor having once been, does he ever come to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Also, text 22. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. This teaching is foundational because many key teachings of the Gita depend upon it. Perform duty without attachment, because I am not the body. Death is not ultimate, because the soul continues to exist. Meditation and devotion are activities of the soul. Therefore, understanding the soul is the foundation of the Gita.
But the Gita seems to speak more about Krishna and devotion than about the soul. Doesn't that make God rather than the soul the main focus?
So the later teachings about Krishna actually deepens our understanding of the soul. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 7, Krishna says that the living entities are his eternal fragmental parts. By understanding Krishna, we understand the soul's true identity and the relationship with him.
So you're saying that soul is a starting point, while the later chapter expands that understanding?
Exactly. The Gita progresses logically. I am not the body. Therefore, I should perform my duty. Therefore, I should control my mind. Therefore, I should understand Krishna. And of course, I should surrender to him. Without the fourth step, the rest lose their proper meaning. So in conclusion, the soul is the foundation, and the later chapters complete the foundation by explaining the soul's relationship with Sri Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I think the essential point that Krishna speaks about the soul only once, because this is the foundation of everything else that he speaks. You brought that up very well. And then also you embellished more on the relationship between why Krishna speaks more about himself and than the soul later on. So that brought forward that interplay nicely. Thank you. So this was the last group, I believe.
We have one more group, Prabhuji.
We have one more. Okay, that's great.
Can I see my slide, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, we can see your slide, Shankarshana group.
Okay, so Hare Krishna to everybody. Please accept my pranam. We are presenting from Sankarshan group about what is duty and how does doing it help in making spiritual progress. Many people simply says, my work is my dharma. Also, some emphasis on why sakam karma is important, even though it is later transcended. Sorry. Where is my, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me read from here. Why is not going? One second, sorry, Prabhu. I can't, sorry.
성우 폰이에요, 폰에.
폰에, 그래 폰에 일란 거니 뭐가.
주주.
폰 페이지 다운 모습으로.
지 번락이.
이거는. Okay, what is the purpose of the dharma? The ultimate purpose of the dharma is awaken our eternal relationship with Krishna and serve him with the unalloyed love and devotion. Prema Bhakti is final goal. So, Thirasanta Mata, do you know what there are two types of Swadharma? One is based on the Varnashram division. When one does one's duty based on religious principles, then it leads to liberation. Once one achieves liberation, then their Swadharma is purely spiritual to serve the Lord with unalloyed love and devotion, Prema Bhakti.
Hare Krishna to everyone. Please accept my pranam. Sakam karma, saw with calm desire, especially desire for personal gain and enjoyment. Karma, action. We do sakam karma because we desire good health, name, fame, family prosperity, enjoyment, going to heaven. This gives us in return fear, anxiety, pain, unhappiness. Ratnavati, I am a wife, mother, and a nurse. I do my duty towards my patients and my family. Isn't that my Swadharma? Isn't that enough? I know I am doing it for my desire only, for getting something in return. And I know that this is also binding, but it's certainly better than doing vikarma or karma against the sastras. At least I'm not stealing, robbing, doing something wrong. Sarita. Didi. Didi. जी बोलना. I could not help overhearing you both. Let me explain this simply. By doing your duty as a wife and a nurse, you are doing the right thing. It's a step towards the ultimate Swadharma.
Dharma.
However, however, when you desire fruits, it becomes binding. Try to climb the ladder. Do your duty without expectation, anything in return. That's called Niskam Karma. Ratnavali, if I do this my duty for my patients and family and not expecting anything in return, is that good?
Didida.
Is that good? Okay, that's like, okay. So it is just excellent, but you are still doing, it's still like climbing the ladder. Perform your action in like looking a service for the but like Krishna, that is bhakti. We can follow footsteps of Amrish Maharaj.
So, Bhakti, there are nine ways to connect with the Lord Krishna, as you see in my screen. And Bhakti is, to do Bhakti, we can use our 5 senses, which given by Krishna. Tongue is to chant Mahamantra and eat prasadam. Eyes is to behold, seeing Krishna in every living and non-living entity. Ears to hear his katha and the kirtan. Nose to smell the fragrance as he is the fragrance of the earth. Skin to do everything for him. And duty of eternal soul, Swadharma, pure Prem Bhakti, the highest goal, loving Krishna purely and selflessly. And then you can see the ladder.
So Krishna gave us simply the simple ladder to climb. How clever.
I plan to take the escalator of Bhakti. Everybody come along with me. Haribol!
Haribol!
Thank you so much.
Haribo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Very
I
good.
was talking, but it went to mute, I guess. Sorry for the beginning.
That's
Sorry.
okay. It happens to all of us. But very nice picturization, breaking up the concepts into dialogues, and also maintaining the philosophical understanding. So all in all, very well done. Great job. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for understanding.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
so now that we're done with the group presentations, we'll take any discussion items that we may have based on these verses of the second chapter that we've completed. Okay. Yes, Vivek Prabhu, please go ahead. You may also want to take down your presentations, Mataji, from the screen.
Yeah, I just have one question, Prabhuji.
Sure, please go ahead.
So my question is that, like we discussed about the Brahman reality, soul realization, or Paramatma realization, Krishna realization ultimately. So are these steps can be taken all together, or first, like if we get in bhakti also first Brahman realization that we become like mukta of all our karmas, and then we merge into Paramatma, or is it step by step?
Oh, thank you. Wonderful question. So I'll give you an analogy that Srila Prabhupada would give in this context. He would say bhakti is like a 100 rupee note. When you get it, you automatically get the 10 rupee, the 20 rupee, the 50 rupee. They're all built into it. Similarly, bhakti is like the 100 rupee note. It includes the Brahma realization, the Paramatma realization. We don't have to strive for it separately. We get it as part and parcel of the Bhagwan realization. From a more practical perspective, once we understand the glories of Krishna, part of those glories is Brahman effulgence, and part of the glories is his localized Paramatma expansion. So we get these two understanding along with the Bhagwan realization.
So along with
Okay.
Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, can we also do this other yogas to purify our mind and to keep our mind silent so that uh, we can be more receptive to the Krishna's mercy, so that we can make space by becoming Shunya first and then have it, or everything goes together?
So maybe now I'm a little confused about your question. What do you mean by saying becoming Shunya first and then can you explain
Shunya,
that a little?
yeah, Shunya means like no vikara, no arising above pleasure and pain, so that nothing is sticking to your soul, kind of situation that you are keeping your soul clear to descend the mercy of God, or to have His realization. Means you are pure. You are pure, and so only the pure person can go to Krishna, right? Ultimately, so the purity we can substitute with doing good karam yoga, like karam yoga, not just good karam yoga, and Gyan yoga. Like we are by reading, we are doing this Gyan yoga and purifying our mind, and also like Ashtang yoga or pranayam and yogas together. Will it help it if we do it all
Thank you.
together, or we just do bhakti and chanting? That will be.
Yeah. Thank you. So I understand your question now. So this was one of the things that was spoken of in the presentation also, that when we do bhakti, then the process of becoming detached materially, the process of becoming pure, the process of calming the mind, they're automatically included. You don't have to strive for them separately.
Okay.
And now, having said that, Bhagavad Gita does. So the process that you're saying is also a process that Krishna himself talks about. It's called the yoga ladder, right? It's given in the 12th chapter, where Krishna speaks about the gradual elevation using the path of karma, jnana, ashtanga, and bhakti. However, in the current day and age, these paths are difficult, if not impossible, to follow. And the recommendations for us, Age of Kali, Mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is focus on the path of bhakti, and we will automatically get the benefits of the other processes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's move on to Vivek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My question is contextual. Text 40 of chapter 2 says, in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear, Mayato Bhayat. What I wanted to understand that in this endeavor, the endeavor here before this verse 1 to 39, Krishna has only talked about duties. Do your duty. You are a Kshatriya. Do your duty. He hasn't talked anything about any yoga process. So will just duty help you save from most critical dangers, or what does Krishna refer here?
Thank you. It's a good question. So this is Krishna's sneak preview into bhakti. Right? So the verse you're referring to, Naya Bikram and Ashvasti Patvaya Navadyate. I will say that a little endeavor on this path will protect one from all kinds of fall down. Bhakti offers the protection, right? Even though you're right that Krishna hasn't spoken about bhakti, but and really speaking, he doesn't speak about bhakti till the 7th chapter, but he keeps giving sneak previews, right? So 240 is one sneak preview, 330 is another sneak preview, 411, 49. So he gives sneak previews until he goes to the full to the full subject. And in the 2nd chapter, it makes more sense because it's actually a summary of the rest of the Gita. So it makes sense for Krishna to start speaking about bhakti a little early on.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, Devotee Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Didyam Pranam. So I have a question related with the verse 2.17. In that one, it is mentioned that the consciousness cannot be revived back into body. So we have seen like the instances where someone died for few seconds, then they alive it, they like bring it back to the life again. So how we identity, like what we can say about that phenomena, like is that like the consciousness back into them again?
Okay, I didn't get the last part, Prabhu. Can you
So
repeat
like
that?
how do we understand this phenomena, like the person is dead then he is alive again, just like he was dead for a few seconds or maybe like for some time and then he's alive again, so that consciousness is back into that body. So how we justify that point?
I think it's a little bit of a difference between what is perceived from a medical perspective and what is looked at it from a more from a Vedic or a spiritual perspective. And so, a person may be medically dead, but the soul may not have left the body. You know, as you're saying that there are times that person does flatline and then come back, and that's just the gap between the medical symptoms of one being live and dead and the underlying, the more spiritual aspect of the soul actually leaving the body. Now, having said that, there are cases like, you remember in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu summons the soul back into the body of Srivas Thakur's son, right? But that is Krishna, he can do it. So that means, now Krishna is Krishna, but it is possible, but not for us.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Nikita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry. Prabhuji, my question is, once we have determined which parampara we wish to align with and are ready to take shelter of a guru with that lineage, how do we discern which specific guru we should genuinely aspire to take shelter of?
Okay, so your first part of the question was that which parampara are we aligned to in ISKCON?
So say, for example, I am ready and I'm decided that I want to join ISKCON Parampara and I want to take shelter of a Guru Maharaj who is giving Diksha in ISKCON Parampara. But how do I make a decision which which Guru Maharaj should I take shelter from?
Okay, so that's a seminar in itself. I'll give you the short summary of it, which will not do justice to your wonderful question. But two things that you need to look at. One is that you should be confident that you will be able to follow the instructions of the Guru, that you will be able to surrender to the Guru. Mm-hmm. The second is that you should be confident that the Guru will take you back to Krishna. Mm. So when these two things happen, that means you have found your spiritual master.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Subudhi, right, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, I've always had this question, and in the presentation also it was spoken about it, like Varnashram Dharma and our Swadharma. So does following Daivi Varnashram Dharma puts us into that Swadharma position, or are they both separate? What is recommended? Like maybe
good question. I'll be speaking about it in my summation, but short answer is that when you follow Devi Varnashram, then you follow both, right? So essentially what you do is you follow your Swadharma, but you use the Swadharma to serve Krishna and the devotees. Right? Classic example is Arjun. He's following Kshatriya Dharma, which is Swadharma, but he's also satisfying Krishna, which is Paradharma. Right? So that's an example of Devi Varnashram. Okay, so we'll take the last two questions. Shita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My question, heart is full of 5 airs, and means Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana, Vyana. I read only that. Can you explain little bit more in Bhagavad Gita?
Oh, the life airs. I can't really explain a lot more than what is given there. There are different life airs that are binding the subtle body to the gross body. And when these life airs get weakened, typically at the time of death, but can also be weakened by mystic yogis, then the subtle body can separate from the gross body. Right, so this happens at the time of death, or mystic yogis, they're able to travel in the subtle body and return back to the gross body. These life airs also are a symptom of both the physical and the mental health of the person. The stronger the airs are, the more firmly the subtle body is bound with the gross body, and the person has robust health. When they weaken, then time for the person to leave the body. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, we'll take one last question. David Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. In and around 247, you went into some depth in your lecture about, of course, doing your activities, not being attached to the results, fruitive activities, so on and so forth, doing them for Krishna, not doing them for ourselves. I was wondering if you could go a little bit, not necessarily a little bit deeper, but be a little bit more specific with respect to very, very practical activities. So for example, let's say I'm renovating a portion of my house, or I'm going to buy a certain car. I feel that I'm still in reality doing it for myself, or doing the activity and enjoying the results of that activity. And I'm trying to understand a little bit deeper, how do I really detach myself from that activity?
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Very thoughtful question. And if I may ask you to hold on to that question, because I actually talk about it, because this is 247, is the second part of the chapter. So I'm going to speak about it now. If your question is still remains unanswered, you can either send me an email, or we can talk about it in the next discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful questions. Let me start my summation of the second part of chapter 2. So last time we had covered the indecisiveness in Arjuna, his surrender to Krishna as a disciple, and Krishna basically speaking about the nature of the soul, Sankhya Yoga, right? So we went all the way to verse 30, and that kind of ended with Krishna establishing once for all, as we saw, never to be repeated again, the nature of the soul, invisible, atomic, cannot change, eternal, does not merge into anything, continues to be an individual, just as Krishna is an individual. So since the second chapter is the kind of the foundation for the Gita, I'm kind of using this also as an as an excuse to speak about some of the basic concepts of the Gita that may not be specifically covered in the second chapter, but they form as good building blocks when we cover the remaining 16 chapters of the Gita, right? And a lot of it you're all familiar with, so I'll go rather quickly. But my aim is to establish a more formal understanding of the terms that we tend to use, that will be used often in the Gita. So karma, one of the most often used terms, literally it means action. Contextually, it could also refer to the law of karma. Like somebody might say, it is my karma to suffer. Right? And essentially the person is talking about the reactions to the past karma. could also refer to pious activities, like I strive to do my karma, I strive to do my duty, which is pious activities. Could also refer to impious activities. Right? They might say that don't do this, you have to suffer the karma, right? Which is essentially sinful activities. In the 8th chapter, verse 3, Krishna defines karma as actions pertaining to the development of the material body of the living entities. Right? So this is a more formal definition of karma. So understanding that karma could mean one of many things. When we see the word karma appearing, we also always should ask for us, what is the context in which it is appearing? So in the 2nd chapter, we see 3 kinds of karma shown. There is the vikarma, the impious activities, karma, pious activities, and nishkam karma, which is actions without results, right? And here we have 247 that David Prabhu was talking about. So typically actions are performed with 2 kinds of meditation. One is the meditation that I'm the enjoyer. I do something, I get something, and the purpose of doing the activity is to enjoy the results, right? So this is the attachment to the fruits. The second is attachment to the activity. I am the doer. That I am the person that is doing the activity. This activity is coming because of my talent, my skill, my ability, etc. Nishkam karma is negating these 2 attachments, right? So when a person is considering that I'm not attached to being the doer and I am unaffected by the outcome, right? So not the antonym of not being the enjoyer does not mean that I do not consume the result. We'll talk a little bit about it later. It means that I am unaffected by it. Right? Somebody works hard, something comes out of it, the person uses the output of the karma. Like a person cooks, there is food out of it, the person eats the food, right? Doesn't mean that the person throws the food away, but whether the cooked food is good or bad, the person is unaffected by it. So this nishkam karma, it's a very prominent and persistent theme in the Bhagavad Gita, right? One of the most repeated themes, one of the most asked questions. Arjun 3 times will ask this question about karma, beginning of chapter 3, beginning of chapter 5, and then all the way at the beginning of chapter 18. Right? And Krishna will use Buddhi Yoga. He doesn't use it often, but uses it a few times as a placeholder for nishkam karma. Right? So we shouldn't be confused if we see Buddhi Yoga, should understand this nishkam karma. Then Gyan. Gyan is another term that will be there in the Gita. So Gyan refers to the knowledge of the self. So like 2:12 to 30, Krishna speaks about the knowledge of the soul. Now, Atma in itself could also mean the Supreme Lord or Krishna. Right? So Gyan also means knowledge of Krishna. So from the Upanishads, one gets the knowledge of the soul. And from Bhakti treatises like the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get knowledge of Krishna. Now, it's important to understand that Gyan is not anything other than this. So it's not how many verses I remember, or it's not how many books I have read. It is not how many mantras I can recite. It's not about astronomy or astrology. They're all subcategories, right? They may lead to Gyan, but they are not in themselves Gyan. Right? So when we talk about Gyan, we are talking about Tattva Gyan. Do we know the nature of the soul? Do we know the nature of Krishna? Do we know the nature of the material world? Right? So when we're talking about the Tattva, that is Gyan. So as I mentioned, 2nd chapter, Gyan, Krishna reveals about nature of the soul. And from chapter 13 onward, he talks about the nature of the Brahman, the nature of the material world. Chapter 4, he talks about himself. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gyan is about Krishna. Then Dhyan, this is the the eightfold astan that matures into meditation, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, and samadhi. And obviously, we'll be speaking a lot more about it in the 6th chapter. Now, we should know that dhyan is simply a process. It does not take you to a fixed place. Where it takes you is where you want it to take you. So there are some people that perform dhyan for a healthy body, right? Especially the yam, niyam, asan. They are basically bodily calisthenics. They give you a healthy body. Pranayam gives you a strong mind. And even when people go to dharana and samadhi, it will take you where you're meditating on. If you're meditating on the Brahman, it'll take you to the Brahman. If you're meditating on Paramatma, that's where it'll take you. If you're meditating on Krishna Swayam Bhagavan, that's where it may take you. Okay? And bhakti. Bhakti is, in summary, activities performed for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotee. We'll study in Nectar of Devotion, the module after Bhagavad Gita, where Rupa Goswami defines bhakti, that it can only be in the context of Krishna, and that also favorable. So activity is done in the context of Krishna in a favorable manner. Right? So bhakti is a little unique in the sense that it can also appear in the context of karma and gyan and dhyan, or it can occur independently. For example, karma, we have seen, is to act. But if you love someone, which is essentially bhakti, you will automatically act for his favor. Similarly, gyan is to know. But if you love somebody, then part of loving the person is knowing the person. Then dhyan is to meditate, and if you love somebody, you will automatically think about the person. So that's bhakti includes karma, gyan, and dhyan, but not the other way around. Right? So if you flip it around, that if you're acting, it does not necessarily mean that there is love there. You may be acting for selfish reasons. And same for gyan and dhyan. Now, the other term that I wanted to talk to you about is yoga. Right? So yoga, again, one of the very widely used term. So yoga, the root word is yuj, which means union, to join or yoke. Actually, the English word yoke is derived from the word yoga, which in its truest sense, it means to join, right? So in this connection, in the Bhagavad Gita connection, yoga means to join with something that is transcendental, that is not material. Now, what that transcendence is could vary. The only requirement is that it is not material. So it could be the Brahman, it could be Paramatma, it could be Krishna, or it could be something else that transcends matter. Right? All these come in the category of yoga. Right? So what the person is aspiring to connect to depends on the consciousness of the person and the maturity of the person practicing yoga. Now, in the current days, yoga, it almost always refers to Ashtanga Yoga, or more specifically, the Asan part of Ashtanga Yoga, like the Hatha Yoga, etc., which is a misrepresentation. Like when you say, I went to do yoga, then people just assume that you went to do some Hatha Yoga, or maybe some breathing exercises. And that's a misrepresentation. From the Vedic perspective, the word yoga means to connect with something that is transcendental. So yoga appears as a qualifier, right? So we have understood what is karma, what is gyan, what is dhyan, what is bhakti. When these processes are qualified by yoga, essentially what it means is now one is using this process to connect with something that is spiritual, right? So now you can perform karma just for the sake of enjoying the benefits of it. You can also perform karma to transcend your material situation. right? Maybe to take birth in a heavenly planet, maybe to go back to Krishna. So you may be performing karma for some other reason. Then it becomes karma yoga. Otherwise, it is karma kanda. So kanda is a section, and it's essentially a section of the Veda that refers to the more material part of karma. So the important takeaway is that when yoga appears as a qualifier to any of these paths, it adds the spiritual dimension to them. That Gyan may be the pursuit of knowledge, but Gyan Yoga is the pursuit of knowledge to connect with transcendence. Similarly with Astan, Bhakti Yoga is devotional practices specifically to connect with Krishna. So when karma, Gyan and Dhyan are performed without yoga, they're just material activities, right? Serving some material purpose. But when Krishna speaks about karma yoga, then he's talking about karma that is used to achieve transcendence. And again, not necessarily to achieve Krishna, it may be, but could also be to achieve Brahman, Paramatma, or something else. Now, the second qualifier that comes a lot in the Bhagavad Gita is Kam, right? So Kam means with material desires, right? So Sakam Karma is actions that are performed to enjoy. Sakam Gyan is pursuit of knowledge to improve one's mental condition. And Sakam Dhyan is the desire for better health, mind, or mystic powers. Sakam Bhakti is bhakti that is performed to get material benefits, right? So whenever we see the word Kam or Sakam, we know that the person is doing it to fulfill desires, right? Now, Sakam Yoga, it's a bit of an oxymoron, because yoga is to connect to transcendence and Sakam is to fulfill desires. But real life being more complicated than simple principles, there are people who, so charity is an example. There are people who might give in charity, and they may give in charity specifically to reap the benefits of charity. But there may also be a little bit of a motivation that I'm doing charity so that I get some spiritual benefit out of it, right? So one of the cases where it is Sakam as well as yoga. So when we're talking about Sakam, we also talk about Nishkam. So Sakam is with a desire to enjoy, and Nishkam is no desire to enjoy, right? Important thing to understand is Nishkam does not mean rejection. It means detachment, right? So like I gave the example that a person may cook, right? And then the person, if he's situated in the state of Nishkam karma, does not mean that he cooks and he throws away the food, saying that I can't be attached to the enjoying the results of the food. What it means is that he is detached from what comes out of it. If the food comes out of it is cooked nicely, he eats it. If it's not cooked nicely, he still eats it, right? So the essence of Nishkam is not rejection, but detachment, right? So one might say, then what is the impetus to act for such people? And that is sense of duty, right? This will something Krishna will speak more so in the 4th and 5th chapter. So externally, Sakam and Nishkam karma look the same. The difference is in the internal consciousness. And the last point is that one may become Nishkam from the platform of Gyan. So when they say, I'm not the body, I am the soul, they may develop detachment from whatever is related to the body, or from the platform of bhakti. If the person says, I'm a servant of Krishna, then everything that they're doing is for the master, right? And essentially, then the detachment comes automatically, right? So like 247 is Nishkam karma from the platform of Gyan. 330 is from the platform of bhakti. So because bhakti is an important topic and Srila Prabhupada stresses upon it, we have to understand that bhakti is something that is unique because it can permeate the other paths also of karma, gyan, and dhyan. When it is present in the other parts, then it is called Mishra Bhakti. Mishra Bhakti means mixed devotion. So it may be bhakti mixed with karma or gyan or dhyan. It may be mixed as a minor component, lagu. Right? So a person is predominantly working for the self, but takes a little bit of money and gives it to the temple. Right? So when the person gives the money to the temple, that's an act of bhakti. Right? So what he is doing is there is bhakti mixed with karma. The predominant activity is karma, but there is traits of bhakti. Or it could be the other way around. The person is predominantly executing bhakti, but may have the desire to do certain kinds of activities. Similarly, in Gyan and Astan, then Suddha Bhakti is when there is no desires for pursuing the path of karma or Gyan or Astan. So activities like chanting, deity worship, listening to Krishna's pastimes, so they come in the category of Shuddha Bhakti, exclusively performed for the pleasure of Krishna. So one may pursue the process of karma, Gyan, Astan, and Bhakti for material gains, and that I said was Sakam. When the object is transcendence, then these activities are qualified with yoga. Yoga may or may not be in connection with Krishna, but when the transcendence is further refined to Krishna, then yoga becomes bhakti. Now I know we say bhakti yoga, but in that case they're almost the same word. Okay, so with understanding this, so these I would say are the building blocks of our understanding of the philosophy in Bhagavad Gita and Vaishnava theology. Understanding karma, Gyan, Dhyan, the process of yoga, Sakam, Nishkam. These are the building blocks in the sense they will be repeatedly used in different ways by Krishna to build a certain more advanced proposition for Arjuna and for us, right? So I would say that spend some time, reflect on it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask for it in our next discussion. Now I'm going to specifically talk a little bit about the flow in the remaining verses of the second chapter. So at a high level, what we see that Krishna is addressing Arjuna's dilemma of fight or not fight. Right? And the way he addresses it, he says that if you fight and win, you will rule earth and go to heaven. If you fight and lose, you will be killed and go to heaven. Right? So fighting in both cases has a good outcome. If you do not fight, he says, then you will be neglecting your duty as a Kshatriya, so you'll go to hell. You will lose respect, which is worse than death, and you will be setting a bad example, which means that you will be the cause for the downfall of the society. Right, so this way Krishna is architecting his arguments. So this negates Arjuna's reasons not to fight. Arjuna said compassion, that I don't want to kill, and Krishna says the body is sure to be destroyed and the spirit is indestructible. Right, so you cannot kill the spirit and you cannot save the body. So your compassion is misplaced. Then enjoyment. Right. So here again, Krishna says the same point we saw in the slide, previous slide, that if you fight and win, you enjoy here and go to heaven. If you fight and lose, you still go to heaven. Then fear of sinful reactions that he will accrue if he neglects his Kshatriya dharma. Right. So what the point that Krishna is making is that by not fighting, you will actually accrue more sinful reaction. And again, destruction of society means because he'll be setting a bad example for others. Now, one might say that Krishna has very effectively dismantled Arjuna's argument. What's the need for him to speak more? Because there's still a problem, right? Because Krishna has so far proposed karma and Sankhya. That he has proposed Sankhya as the knowledge of the soul and karma as performing your prescribed duty as a Kshatriya. Essentially, he has talked about Sakam karma. However, Arjuna himself is learned in the scriptures, right? So he might say that the benefits of karma are temporary. The nature of karma is that it binds one to the material body. And the intricacies of karma are very difficult to abide with. Similarly, this maintaining this realization that I am not the body but the soul is difficult. So one may read it, one may think about it, but difficult to live it on a day-to-day basis. And while the soul is embodied, it is driven by the bodily desire for sense engagement and pleasures. So Krishna solves this problem by proposing Nishkam karma, right? So, so with Sankhya, he has explained to Arjun that you are not the body. With karma, he has made this point that you should do your duty. Now Krishna will combine these two and he will talk about Buddhi Yoga. Here it is called Buddhi Yoga, but like I said, it is same as Nishkam karma, which means that you do your duty, but with the understanding that you're the soul and not the body. So the Sakam part of karma now gets converted to Nishkam, right? And the poster verse for this is our famous Karma Nivedakaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana Ma Karmafal Hetur Bhur Mate Sankos the Karmani. Right? So where Krishna talks about how to perform Nishkam karma. Right? So the two attachments to the karma is I am the doer and I am the enjoyer. And if you consider yourself to be the soul and not the body, then you understand the body is the doer and the enjoyer. So as a soul, you are neither of them. So now that Krishna has introduced Buddhi Yoga or Nishkam karma, he speaks about it a little bit more, and Srila Prabhupada expands on it in the purpose, obviously. So Nishkam karma is synonymous to Bhakti Yoga, right? Like I said, Buddhi Yoga is, so Buddhi essentially means intelligence, right? So what Krishna is saying, you connect with me using your intelligence, right? And in this case, Buddhi Yoga is the placeholder for Bhakti Yoga and Nishkam karma. The primary focus to act is for the pleasure of Krishna, and karma is performed on the platform of bhakti. Right? So when one is acting for the pleasure of Krishna, so take an example of if you are a bank teller, you may be getting a lot of money or giving a lot of money, but you know none of it belongs to you. So the bank teller doesn't become very happy if somebody comes with a big deposit, doesn't become depressed when somebody withdraws a lot of money. It's not your money. So when one performs karma with that consciousness that everything belongs to Krishna, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, that I'm simply acting as Krishna's servant. And in that case, that attachment to either the performing of the activities or enjoying the results of the activity is mitigated, right? So the advantages of this is that it captures the essence of the Vedas. That it protects the devotees in all circumstances. And because it entails the active performing of duties, the senses are happily engaged, right? But the bad part about karma is the reactions. Like Prabhupada would say that all karma is bad karma. Whether it is pious activities, impious activities, it's all bad karma. Why? Because 8.3 Krishna says that any activity that results in the creation of the next activity. So you perform pious activities, you're forced to take birth again to enjoy the results of those piety. But when you take birth again, Janma Mrityu Jaya Vrati, right? Birth, death, disease, old age will inevitably accompany. Whereas if you perform Nishkam karma, there are no binding reactions. Okay, so there was a question on Swadharma and Paradharma. I think I answered it there, but I'll go quickly over it here. So Swadharma is your activity as per your Varnashram. Right? So there are 8, it's a 4x4 matrix between Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So you have 16 cells. And what the Varnashram Dham says, depending on which of the 16 cells you are in, you basically get a list of do's and don'ts. That these are the activities you can do, these are the activities you cannot. A grahastha can marry and enjoy conjugal pleasures with a wife. A sannyasi cannot do that. Right? And paradharma is a duty to Krishna. Right? So it is the duty of the soul to Krishna. So the gradual process is of moving from swadharma to paradharma is many births of gradual purification, from karma to gyan, gyan to dhyan, and then if you get the mercy of a devotee to reaching the stage of bhakti. However, what Krishna, the message that Krishna gives, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is that you take to swadharma as a sub-component of paradharma. First, understand what Krishna wants you to do. Based on that, you act according to your varnashram. Okay? That way, you are satisfying both. You are satisfying paradharma, which is the needs of Krishna, and you're satisfying your swadharma. So, for example, a person may be a good artist, and now the person may make nice paintings and sell it and make money. That's just the swadharma, right? That's the performing activities and enjoying. All the persons may paint devotional pictures, still sell them and make money, right? But now it becomes a component of paradharma. So essentially, this is what Bhagavad Gita wants us to align to. That through the process of bhakti, we align our swadharma with paradharma. So some differences between paradharma and swadharma. Paradharma is of the soul, swadharma is of the body. Paradharma is eternal, swadharma changes. Paradharma is universal, swadharma is based on varna and ashram. Paradharma is eternal, swadharma is temporary. Paradharma gives liberation, swadharma gives repeated births. Paradharma is meant for spiritualists, swadharma is mostly for materialists. Bhakti is the component of paradharma, karma, and even gyan and asthan can be components of swadharma. Right? And the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is that it aligns paradharma with swadharma. Arjuna being the classic example. He follows the Kshatriya dharma and he serves Krishna at the same time. Paradharma is based on Vedanta, which is the conclusion of the Vedas, and swadharma is a part of the Vedas. So the flow in the second chapter, as I mentioned earlier on, is Krishna first giving the knowledge of the soul to Arjuna. Then he talks about sakam karma, performing your prescribed activities. Then he combines the two and talks about nishkam karma. Some of the key verses that kind of show this pivot. So this is one of the questions was asked on this 249 Vikramanashasti Patpayona Vidyate Swargamapiyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. This is Krishna giving a sneak preview of bhakti, because as the point rightly was made, Krishna hasn't really spoken about bhakti, because you can't speak about bhakti without speaking about Krishna. And he hasn't spoken about himself, but Krishna gives these teasers, these trailers of what is the main attraction, right? And this verse, when the person reads it, look at the promises in this verse, that there is no loss by stopping without completion, right? Because the nature of karma is it's all or nothing. You either do it or you if you don't do it completely, you don't get the benefit of it. Nature of bhakti is, Prabhupada would say that you turn one screw in service of Krishna, Krishna will make a note of it. And 10 million lifetimes later on, you will still have credit for that. 247, famous verse that talk about Nishkam Karma. I'll speak about it again. So in conclusion, the last set of verses 254 to 72, they represent a very fascinating interplay between theoretical faith and validated faith, right? Because the nature of faith is that it begins it begins on theory, that a person begins to tell you something and you accept what the person tells you. But then at some point of time, you need to make sure that whatever the person is telling you actually pans out. And this is Arjun. Krishna has basically given him the synopsis of the Gita. And Arjun says, where do I see this in action? That you're talking about Nishkam Karma, you're talking about a person who's detached, talking about a person who's devoted to you. But I am a Kshatriya, I'm a warrior, I'm a practical person. I need to see something to be able to validate what you're telling me. So that's why he asked those 6 questions about the Sthita Pragya. What are the symptoms of a person situated in transcendence? And the reason he says is because one is to see within himself, but also to verify that when you see some other person situated in a spiritually elevated position, then how do I recognize the person, right? And the recurring theme here is equanimity, right? He asked the 4 questions, and they're slightly different, that how does he deal with his desires? How does he respond to dualities? How does he control his senses? How does he engage his senses? Answers are slightly different, and they're spoken about at length in the lecture. But the common theme is that such a person is not affected either by happiness or distress, by misery or ecstasy. For him, the higher taste is spiritual endeavor, right? So summary, which we have spoken about it, and yeah, so I won't go through this. It's essentially a summary of the 2nd chapter. So I think I went over time. I apologize for that. This is one of the most, like I said, the most mystical, magical chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And I can assure you that if you understand this chapter, you will love the Bhagavad Gita. You will like everything because it kind of makes sense. Krishna kind of draws the canvas and then he starts painting within it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me next time, or you can send them also. I'll answer them, or any of the group mentors will answer them. Okay, thank you for your patience. We'll stop over here with our prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thai Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.